acquired, as we spoke about at the very end of the discussion last week. Build Vision has launched a new website. AI evals are into the industry. Wow. How has your phone lines been this week? Busy?
It's been crazy. I also had a board meeting this week, but I'm getting texts left and right now. Autodesk did lay off a lot of people. People are scrambling to find homes. You forgot that Maria at Kojo, who's raised nearly $100 million for her company, is stepping down. Like, just seems to like a lot of moving pieces and components, and like, it's interesting times.
Yeah, it is indeed. And we're joined by Mike today. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Not much. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me. It's definitely interesting times. Getting a lot of texts from former Autodesk employees that I used to work with. So there's a lot of good people that are now free agents. So if you're hiring, definitely reach out to people.
Interesting.
Are you taking fees, Mike?
Taking fees? Yeah, 25% recruiter fees.
Perhaps
counted as revenue at the business.
And in one of maybe the most strangest developments of the week, Patrick, you're in London.
That cannot be denied. Yes, you have such an amazing country. I'm loving the food. I'm loving the coffee here.
The weather.
Hey, we can't get any worse coffee than the east coast of the US, as we discovered at the back end of last year.
True.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Okay, guys. Well, before we have too much fun taking the piss out of each other, let's dive into this. So everyone saw the news that was released, I think, Tuesday now. And I just had a very quick 15-20-minute chat with Tiago, which we will release on Bricks and Bytes tomorrow. First interview, exclusive interview since the acquisition. So keep posted for that coming out tomorrow. And what I said to him was, the announcement of the acquisition shocked everyone, but didn't surprise everyone. And by that, I mean, everyone was a bit like, oh shit, that's big news. But then it's like, okay, well, this is kind of the natural exit path for constructions, for tech companies within the industry. So with that, what do you guys think? Justin, do you want to give your thoughts on this acquisition first off?
Yes, I want to say congratulations to Tiago and the entire team. This is his second acquisition, by the way. It could not happen to a nicer person. He is one of the most thoughtful people I've ever come across in construction tech. I think Procore picked up a hell of a leader for helping build out their AI and data strategy. So congratulations, Tiago. Tom Feliz is a part of that organization. He and I have been friends for a long time. Congratulations, my friend. Well-deserved. A lot of hard work went in there. I think if they do this right, Procore made a really good acquisition. I know where the values are, but regardless, that is a great team to add to your organization. And yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. I think that bringing in some external people to shake things up is a great idea. And those people are awesome. Think the world of them. Congratulations.
Yeah. So what this was Tiago's second exit, building construction or AEC tech specific software?
AEC tech.
Do we know of any other founders in the same category? Second? I'm sure there is, but maybe one.
No, he's
for AEC.
Maybe not at that scale, I would say. There are several ones that I think exited software companies serially, but I think at this scale that is rumored of DataGrid and its previous one might be at the forefront.
Wow, that deserves some special recognition right there. Hey Patrick, what's your views on the acquisition?
Congratulations. Echoing what Dustin said, just double underline, not much. Can't say it any better. What I find interesting is just analyzing this transaction also as an investor. A couple of thoughts went through my mind. Let me just briefly spit them out. So number one, does this mean Procore now has an East Coast headquarters, East Coast hub? I don't know. So that was like a fun thought I briefly had. And secondly, I was thinking, what does it say about the acquisition funnel for DataGrid's peers going forward. So this is like one man down that got an agentic platform now and a super talented team. Autodesk has been giving me the impression that they want to develop mostly in-house on that. Might change again. The window of change is eternal. So maybe that again changes, but that's at least been my impression for the last year or so about Autodesk. And then you have a small number of peers around that. It's not that many, right? So that can afford really a triple-digit million type acquisition. But there are peers, right? So customers have buying choice. Procore made its move. So where's the landing spot for the other peers? I'm going to monitor that. I think there might be more down the line coming. So that could be interesting. But I'm also wondering about the potential landing spots.
I did pose this question to Tiago, but I'm going to funnel you into listening to that episode. So you'll have to wait till tomorrow to hear what he had to say about that.
Sounds
hey, Mike,
good.
You go.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about it is the announcement that they made really leaned into the fact that it's going to stay open to non-Procore users and isn't going to be just specific to like Procore's Helix AI platform. And as we've like historically talked about, like, hey, where's Procore's next $1 billion of revenue coming from? Is that Procore Pay? How do they get wedged out of this like project management? I would take the bet that there could position a play where you could sell the service of like doing submittals and RFIs for a customer and increase that price point drastically, not charge $500, but charge $20,000 for that on a project. And if Procore can push that out with this tool, I think there's actually a lot of upside optionality for Procore to scale another $1 billion revenue business, if that becomes a true statement. So I think it's a really interesting play. Yeah, I think Tiago's an awesome person. So congrats to him and the team. I think it's a good swing for them to try to figure out like where they can find other additional revenue sources that aren't just, taking away from GM fees or CM fees on a project.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are watching, but I also pulled this up and I said in Groundbreak 2023, Procore announced AI Copilot. 2024, I don't know. I haven't got news. I didn't go there. But in 2025, and I pulled the article up, and this is the headline: Procore announces new enhancements on Procore Assist, availability of Procore Agent Builder. And so my question to him was, why suddenly did it look like that they were building internally, and then the actual like end game was that they acquired a company to do this for them? And his answer to that was around the speed. And the speed at which AI is, or how quickly AI is disrupting like the speed of development as it relates to software. So anyone got any thoughts or observations on that?
Yeah, I would like to talk about that, and also in context of some of the things Patrick was bringing up. Because like so many times companies kind of operate in the either or mentality. So Autodesk for right now, for some reason, we are build, and we're not looking to acquire. And sometimes people are like, oh, I'm all acquisition and no internal sort of development. And I don't know why large organizations operate in those harmonics. Autodesk historically has been buy. Okay, we bought a bunch. Now we're going to build. And then they realize we're not good at building. So then we go buy. And it's kind of a weird oscillation that happens. So Procore has been historic on Groundbreak. They say something, they're going to do something, it falls flat. The next year they announce it again, and it's a little better. And then they figure out, okay, here's how we're actually going to do it. And but I like the strategy of, listen, we need to develop some Rails for us, but we need to complement those with solution providers that have pushed the envelopes and have actually gained some traction. Because us going from T0 to T1 or T10 is quite challenging. So I like that methodology. Patrick, I think Autodesk is going to start realizing that they should stop building so much. But I think they will. I think the timeline for them to do that is still like another 12 months. Because they have a lot of bets they've placed. And I think it's going to take them some time to unwind those. But who knows? PR has a way of changing people's mindsets. So this is a splash. and how they react will be very telling. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with you, Mike, though. I don't see them creating billions of dollars automating submittals and RFIs with agents. I don't see that. I seriously
So
think Procore needs to either move into pre-construction, obviously, accounting, ERP, or they need to get into some sort of underwriting, insurance, brokerage, some things that they can do with the data, which I think Data Grid is much better at helping them understand that information to leverage it for other services or solutions outside of workflows. Workflows are just going to be like, look, we're a better tool. You should stick with us versus Autodesk because we're farther ahead at this. But I just don't see that increasing their value.
But if you like play that, like, so if you look at like Procore Pay and Procore Financials, they're like running into like pretty strong headwinds against like SAP, CMIC, JD Edwards. I mean, the insurance play, they took a swing, missed, pulled back. Now there's a ton of like Justin and Shepherd is in that space. They're doing very well. I would just be like, if with the new CEO coming in and you're like seeing like, where is your bread and butter right now? And it's like, hey, we're charging basis points on construction value for a GC. That GC is now seeing fee erosion because a data center builder used to be able to charge 1.5% fee. Now they can charge a 1% fee or a 0.5% fee. So these GCs are trying to find other source of revenue. They can't hire the right amount of people. Can they I don't want to say offload, but can they do things that like are, instead of hiring $100,000 a year superintendent or a project manager on a job site, can they do it for $20K and do 80% of it? Like we're seeing a lot of other agentic workflows. I don't know. I'm trying to see like what would be the bet that like could create this large outcome for them.
Guys,
if they, yeah,
we're approaching it right now almost from okay, you know what? In the product landscape, if they added this capability and then everything would start to make sense, right? But we're talking of a living organism here, an organization that has reached scale. And so my experience through my executive years has taught me something different. So normally, in most organizations, the bottleneck to making synergies work, to making cross-sells work, at some point is not the product portfolio anymore. At some point, it's the sales organization. And then there's leadership and crap managers, et cetera, but it's the sales organization. And so I always tend to think of startups as well as scaled-up companies. There are two business modes. There's run the business, and then there's change the business, transform the business, grow the business, call it whatever you want, right? In run the business, it's about efficiency. In change the business, it's about, fodder mode. And all that comes with it. And so the thing is, once you're in run the business, your sales team is in run the business. And typically they have the one cash cow. And that's extremely efficient and reliable for them to deliver bonuses, renew the contracts, et cetera, et cetera. But now if you want to go into change the business mode, with your sales organization, you have to train them on, okay, here's this new product, and this is how you can do a cross-sell, and this is why it's great. But the best salespeople are the laziest. Sorry, if you've never, right? So if you've never learned that,
100%.
It's absolutely true. The laziest salespeople are typically the best because they take the shortcuts. But that's run the business. And so that's oftentimes, in my experience, the core reason why product synergies do not materialize is because you actually do not succeed in moving your sales organization into change the business mode because they're extremely efficient selling your number one and number two product. And it's for them oftentimes a dip to actually now go into, hey, we acquired Levelset. What do we do with Levelset? Hey, we launched a material finance product. Procore did that. They had that, right? And then they scuttled it in, I think, late 23 or late 2024. I think it's for this reason.
Well, and in my time at Autodesk, that was a systemic problem, is that they tried to make every sales rep sell every single product. And it just doesn't work. I stood on a table kicking and screaming, saying it was one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard, but they did it anyway. And then when building connected sales eroded to nothing because no one knew how to sell it, because they just knew how to sell PlanGrid, it was the same thing. And Autodesk continues with that method. They've consolidated all sales into one sales organization, and that's not as efficient. If you want to produce new product markets, you cannot have that same sales team representing most products. You just
I agree with that.
And Salesforce, Salesforce will have account executive, but they'll have product specific people representing the products that know the products that are dedicated to those quotas and those specific solutions.
Guys, one last point on each of this for you. What does this mean for startups building AI in construction technology? Any particular opinions I want to share? If not, we'll move on quickly.
They better have a workflow
Dustin?
solution. They better have more than just I sit on top of stuff and that's all I do is give you information.
Mike?
Yeah, I think it's just accelerating the commoditization back to like the foundation models. It reduces the amount of outcomes for these guys, for these other companies. Now you're looking at like Autodesk, Trimble, Oracle as places to land. So as you continue to raise capital and look for outcomes, you need to make sure that like you're aligned with that. This is one of the biggest players been taken off. They're not going to make another 9-10 figure bet. Procore's not going to make another 10-figure bet for the next 3-5 years for any type of like agentic workflow, I would assume. So it kind of just
for an AI only tool, that's exactly
correct.
True.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Patrick?
No juicy take. I'm loving it. I think this year is kicking off fantastically in terms of liquidity and transactions. Pretty cool. And that will benefit every founder out there, hopefully also, their shareholders, etc. Beyond that, I find it hard to make, predictions. Okay, this is how it's going to go this way, that way. Business life has a way of then compounding in ways that perhaps sometimes you didn't anticipate, and as might also in this case. However, I will say, if I'm an AI rapper that has then spent more money and burned more money moving now into agents, and at some point I need to find a home or find profitability, I would conserve runway now.
Yeah. I think
maybe lay off the marketing spend.
And one other like data point is DataGrid took a very proactive approach to integrate with everybody. They have integrations with Autodesk, with Procore, and they play nice in the pond. And that was successful for them. So like burning bridges, not playing nice in this construction ecosystem has not been fruitful. And it seems like their position of being open and partnering with people has made them have a great outcome. So good for them. Good on them.
Also took a very bold bet on their pricing model of consumption-based pricing, which was like a shock to the industry, and has paid off now. So
yeah,
again,
that's a good point too.
Very, very cool. Okay, let's go on to this headline of Autodesk laying off 7% of the workforce. Does anyone know what that means in numbers? Roughly
1,300 people.
Yeah,
1,300 people. So, Mike and Dustin, as ex-Autodeskers, I'm sure you have a few colleagues that I think you mentioned at the start of the show that people were reaching out or looking for new homes. Have you heard anything like what the reason behind any of these layoffs may be?
I would just assume it's the continual progression towards like worldwide field org one sales team in Autodesk world. When I joined when Dustin and I joined Autodesk, we had ACC sales and WIFO sales, both selling the same products, the same customers. So you can understand the cogs of that are very, very high. You have 2 salespeople for every account. And this is just that progression towards creating one sales team to sell all the Autodesk products, which goes against what Dustin and Patrick just talked about, specializing in sales. But that seems to be the bet they're taking, and betting on their historical footprint with like the design authoring tools to continue to go down to the construction side.
Anything to add, Dustin?
It's purely increase EBITDA. Autodesk has, because they're a very large organization, they do have a lot of people that are paid well and generally are expendable. I'm not saying everyone that's let go is expendable. There were some awesome people that I already know that were let go that are amazing and will find homes. But because they weren't part of worldwide sales organization, they're viewed as expendable because that team's what's being protected and consolidated too. Yeah, it's just really interesting because it doesn't seem like it gives the flexibility. It seems like they're, I guess, would be investing more in the VARs and the channel sales.
Yeah,
which is not really what SaaS companies are traditionally known at least in North America. I mean, the VARs and the channel outside the US makes sense, but
Dustin, you probably should explain that because I think that's a different go-to-market of what Procore does historically between Autodesk and Procore.
yeah, well, so Autodesk sales organization was built up over time when everything was a desktop-based solution. So back then you used value-added resellers because they would also do implementation training because it was very hard to scale sales organizations. And that historical channel partner still exists in a lot of major companies today. Autodesk has that. All of Oracle and SAP, they have huge value-added resellers. Salesforce has it. They have their Salesforce implementation specialist, which is essentially another VARs program. And you know, there's always been a tension in these large organizations between with pure SaaS. You really want to own that customer experience. That means from the time you talk to them to the time you implement them and all through their customer success. In these large organizations, sometimes you don't own the customer relationship. They interact with your software, but a different organization owns the relationship. And I think that's one of the things that large organizations, why they really struggle to build good software, is they only have relationships with their largest customers. And then the VARs have relationships with mid-market and SMBs, and it's really challenging to build software when you aren't managing those relationships and really close with them. So I think that's a fundamental structural issue with large organizations. But I really don't know how to organize it.
And it comes amidst a number of, whilst I didn't see an official press release, obviously it's all over my LinkedIn feed about Procore doing something similar in that they had laid off a number of staff and lots more people also looking for homes and new jobs as well. So lots of good candidates available to people. I know there's obviously in our industry as well, there's tons of tech companies recruiting. So hopefully all these people can be rehoused accordingly.
Well, I think that this is also thematic across all of tech. Most tech companies have done a big layoff. Amazon's done a big layoff. And people like to say that I love the narrative. We kind of talked about this before the episode. A lot of people say the narrative to when they report on this is they're trying to realize all these efficiency gains from their AI investments. That's literally not what it is. That's what they say it is. They just realize that, hey, we can be more profitable. We can, instead of saying it's a layoff because we just want to be more profitable, they're saying we have efficiency gains. A lot of companies have overhired, have bloated organizations, and they're just cleaning house. And they feel like they can get away with it right now.
Do you guys see it as almost a forebearer of slowing growth? As in, hey, we anticipate we can't sell as much next year, so let's already get lean before we see, let's say, a higher sales intensity. Is that sort of a forebearer?
So I think I'm gonna say no. I think you can just do more with less. Like I was just looking at the sales team that we had at Building Connected 10 years ago was huge. We had layers. Like I was a mid-manager sales manager, like that had a team and had a CRO above me. We're now at Build Vision, we're like hiring go-to-market people, not really AEs, not really salespeople. So like that middle layer is getting very, very squeezed. And they're gonna have a hard time finding homes because it's like, oh, well, you're not an IC, you're not a producer, and you're not really like a CRO or a head of customer success role. Like, it's just like very, very high friction right now for that motion. Like I can go, I mean, I have 2 AEs right now that are carrying, $3 million quotas each. That was never possible 5 years ago.
Because of AI, Mike?
Not even because of AI. I just think it's like the market's matured enough where your price point entry to those customers is higher. We're not selling, $5,000 seats to general contractors. It's just the market's matured and you can charge a higher price, but you need a more educated enterprise sales motion. And it can't be like, someone out of college making 100 dials to try to sell 7 seats of something. Like, there's no more of this like, hey, like for Building Connected, it was great. We talked to customers that were sending out emails on an Excel sheet and we're like, hey, we have a better way to do this. We have a network or we have bid forms. Everyone has technology for the majority of their workflows now. So you have to be 10x better to replace that. But with that, you need to be able to charge a lot more because it's taking longer to rip out those historical systems.
Okay, one more minute or so on this. If anyone wants to say anything, then we have to go to Mike's new website because this is like the most crazy.
Wow.
I don't know, Mike, if you classify yourself as a SaaS company, but I'm just going to say that for e-software company, tech company in the space. I have never seen a website like this in the industry or of a company like that. So we can learn a little bit more about that. But does anyone have any final say on the Procore Autodesk layoffs?
Just wishing everyone the best. And if you know me, you know how to reach out. I'll try to help.
Sure. Okay, Mike, can I share the screen?
Sure. Do it.
Dude, you're literally the host. Why do you ask for permission?
Well, because I didn't actually ask for his permission, but normally I do this stuff before, and now I feel like I'm putting him right on the spot. But Mike, I think you can handle it. You're a tough dude.
Yeah.
Is this a vibe coded mic special?
So this was me and our head of product, Alexa. We were doing like a revamp on our website because we were shifting our ICP a little bit. And like looking at the market of construction tech software websites, they're all like exactly the same. So we changed that and said, hey, like, what are the things we're actually like, what's the problem? What's the solution? And what's the action or call that we can have a user do instantaneously? So what we ended up doing was we went into our friend Claude and had them help us build a vibe coded story around a comic book of like what actually Build Vision does foundationally. So there's a problem, there's a solution, and there's a call to action at the bottom where any user can hit the try it and it will action and go into the application. And that just,
So,
again, it's
sorry,
that is spending $10,000 on a website design. It took me and my head of product 30 minutes to do.
benefits of AI. Eh? So this grabs you straight away. The great document disaster. I quite like the story hook here. Like it kind of gets you in, and it makes you want to continue going down the website.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's a tale of chaos, order, and the spec sheet that was in the other email, or how I learned to stop worrying and let the computer read the PDFs. So you're taking people on a little bit of a journey. You're hooking them with a story, and then you're compelled to want to scroll and finish off the story, right? Which then gives you a call to action to upload documents.
Yep.
And try Build Vision, huh?
Yeah. Easy as that. Try to keep it simple.
Genius. Hey, Mike, I'm very curious to hear how this pans out. Like, it's very bold. Like you say, it doesn't look like every other website in the industry. So
try to show exactly what we do too. Like again, like we're not selling seats where like a user can go in and we're going to go charge you $50 a month user application. This is all towards the drive of what's free in the application. And then we have enterprise agreements with large customers to do specific things for them. So it just all make it easy as possible.
Let me just say, Mike, you already, you're in my heart for many reasons, but also for this one, because Dustin and I have been ranting for 3 weeks about how most tech websites are geared towards speaking to the VC, when really they should be speaking to the customer. So I'm glad this one is not supposed to speak to my colleagues. So super.
Well done.
Check it out. Nice.
And the real tragedy here is that you're using the Edge browser, Owen.
Ah, yeah. Well, you know the real reason? I didn't want people to see my Chrome bookmark bar, so I decided to do it instead.
Well, kudos to Build Vision. You know, it's multi-platform. Clearly, if it works in Edge, it works everywhere.
I could have used IE.
The lowest bar. Mike, did you successfully not say you're AI native or AI first anywhere on your website?
We call it a computer. The machine awakens. If you scroll down a little bit, it's all a computer. That's all it is. There's this computer. There's a very patient computer, waits and reads the documents. They can be scanned in. Doesn't matter.
No mention of AI, man. Look, I just on the Control F. The only AI is in wait, email, air. Oh, you have AI, air. No AI.
Email. No AI.
Love it.
Nailed it. Let's see. Looking forward to exponential returns.
Yeah, this is very unique. This is very unique.
Guys, we will have Anton from Buildroid joining us in 2 minutes. Mike, something else you've done which was quite bold recently was you're going to be publishing your performance scores.
Benchmarks.
Okay, I'm butchering benchmarks for your AI, right?
Yeah, benchmarks we have a benchmark tab on our website now. Those are live. They'll be updated daily. We're just kind of giving everyone insights on how the sausage is made on our side. So anyone has any questions about that, we can happy to share data. But yeah, all those data points will be live.
Nice. No one else is doing this, right?
I'm trying to get more people to do it. I think Luigi's going to do it after our debate. So super excited to work with him on some pieces. There's been a couple other founders that have reached out. Yeah, it's better for the community as a whole. Very
cool. You guys are friends after that debate still?
Yeah, I love Luigi. He's a good guy.
I'm glad to hear it. And on the mode of debates, Dustin, we have another one coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which people should keep their ears and eyes peeled for an announcement in the next week or so.
Oh, we haven't announced it yet?
Oh yeah, there's no event set up, which just reminds me I should probably do that.
Can we just announce it?
Okay, so Dustin will be debating KP Ready on pre-construction.
Whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of stuff. AI,
again,
pre-construction, what companies should do, whole bunch of stuff.
Very cool. We will publish an announcement with a little bit of an agenda, and we will stream it live again on Bricks and Bytes. So people, please join and get involved and post up your questions in the chat like we did last time. It was a very cool, fun thing that we done with Mike before. Okay, so next up, okay, we got Anton waiting in the room. Should we bring Anton in from BuildRoid? By the way, raise money from a very interesting investor, which we will find out from in a second. Okay, Anton, how's it going? You're live, by the way.
Hey, everyone. So, yeah, that's good. Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
How's it going? All right, Anton, let's bring you straight into the conversation here. So as we have 15 minutes or so, you recently raised a $2 million Series A pre-seed round from Stealth. So do you want to tell us a little bit about BuildRoid AI and what you guys do?
Totally. So we are a simulation-first construction platform. So that helps construction companies like GCs accelerate the deployment of the robots on site. So we are helping them simulate the robotic operations. So first virtually, so before going to the site, and once we figure out the best game plan, so in a virtual environment, so it's a seamless and easier process for GCs to use robotics and bring their business to the new level of efficiency.
That's very, very cool. Does anyone want to follow up with a question?
So Anton, could you then be described as sort of a system integrator that focuses on the construction industry? Would that be a fair characterization?
So we don't tie our business directly to any specific hardware to integrate it into the business. So we're more like a platform play, so that welcome all the robots in all the form factors, as long as they are ready for construction environments, which is harsh and so heavy. So, and we provide the construction context so that machines can go and operate on site. So it's kind of an integration, but we're not tied directly so that we're working with only these robots or those robots or these type of projects. So it kind of connects in the digital architecture to the digital execution of robotics.
Maybe what could be useful, because I think it's a very interesting thesis you're having. Perhaps if you use a case study with a customer, walk us through how typically from your side and from their side, the acquisition, the engagement with you would begin. What is BuildRoid doing then? How does everything unfold when you start a new customer relation?
Yeah, so our main client or customer is a large GC or the vertically integrated developers who can control the construction part as well. So they have an idea to improve the efficiency on site, and they kind of aware about that robots exist. Maybe they even test it. So that's our persona that we are working. So they come to us as an experts with robotics, and we take from them the upcoming project design, so in the form of Autodesk Revit BIM. So that's the input from the construction company for our platform. So then all the magic happening on our platform, so where we prepare this design, the architectural design, to the virtual world where we can test different form of robots. So what also we require from the construction company is like their goal. So we want to automate the partition wall assembly, for example, or the painting operation or something. So that's they need to provide so what they want to do. So then we help them to select the best robots if it's already exists on our platform as a digital twin. So that's great. If don't, so they like say like, well, we're working with these Japanese robots, for example. So like we need to create the digital twin of that robot, and it's a different stream. So one time off, so we created that and we can use it further. And then so we populate that environment so that we created out of the Autodesk Revit. So with the robots, and the robots acting as the virtual agents. So we kind of let them figure out by themselves, so with defined boundaries, restrictions, and the goals, so how to better execute the process. And through the execution, because it's a physically accurate simulation, so we technically build that project physically but virtually, so and get everything like the timeline, the material flow, the ROIs, like whatever, so the business is wondering of. So and so measuring at the construction site, we can get these metrics way ahead, so even before the excavation started. So and that's like so how we do that. So once we figure out so the game plan, so the GC kind of a note like, okay, I need for that specific project or layout 3 of these robot, 2 of these robot, so deploy them first. So starting from this corner, moving to that corner, so and material should be supplied every like hour or so to effectively utilize these machines on that specific environment, because every environment is different. So another layout may not work for the same setup because of the alleys are too low, so too narrow, or the ceiling is too high, so or whatever. So it may be not economically viable to use robotics at that particular projects. That's the outcome.
Michael, Dustin, do you have anything you want to follow up with?
Curious what like the monetization process looks like. Is it more like a consulting fee for the customers, or is there like a SaaS portion of it for these projects?
Yeah, it's more of the SaaS. We don't take the fees for consultancy, because our goal is to make this platform like self-driven. So if you're a GC, so it's like straightforward. So what you need to do, which steps to take. So, but obviously we are the startup, like we just raised our pre-seed. So we at the very early stage of our journey. So we do like lots of the manual work. So, and also we need to be sure so that the simulation is giving the accurate results. So for now, so we're not just providing the platform as a SaaS, but also we're providing the actual robotic execution, so as a robotic as a service model. So for us is the additional stream of revenue. So so non-monetary value is that we validating the whole pipeline from BIM to build, so making sure so that the accuracy at a certain level. But the ultimate goal, so that we want to operate as a like SaaS platform for the construction industry.
Awesome. Do you feel like you're good? If you were like to look 5 years ahead, do you feel like the robots as a service would be a larger percent of revenue, or
no? So the SaaS. Yeah. So So our goal is to step away of the RAS as long as we validate. So have enough like digital twin of the robots, and we assure so that we simulate using that robots, we have the at least like 80% of accuracy of the simulation model.
Very cool.
Dustin, you want?
You know, I don't follow the autonomous robot space too often. I don't. How big's the team? How did you get started with this?
Oh, so we started February last year after the CES 2025. So, and we were excited, me and Slava, so my co-founder, excited about all the humanoids.
By the way, Slava was the founder of Mighty Buildings, right?
Yeah, so he was the co-founder of Mighty Buildings. I was the employee number like 5 or so, like at the VP level, so responsible for technology. And then we reconnected early last year. So after this exciting news about humanoids, and we were like Russian to be the first to introduce the humanoids to construction market. So that was the initial like inspiration, so to start the Build Droid. So then we realized that so the humanoid robots themselves is a very early concept, and so it progressed dramatically over the year, so over the last year. So like no question asked, we still believe so that the humanoid form factor will find its niche on the robotic, also on the construction value chain. So, but we also found that there are like advanced machines as a single-purpose robots, and so we can build platform across the, like we call it hardware agnostic. So we are welcoming any robots that are ready to perform any construction operation on site, so to give them construction context. So that's how we started, and yeah, so earlier last year.
I have a question for you, Anton, and this is more, how do you know now's the timing's right? Because one of my investors, his name's Sean at Norwest, he's a failure museum. And there's a lot of failures in that museum, not because the idea wasn't correct. It was because the technology was too soon or too neons to support, for the market to support it. So how is the timing right now?
So we got that question maybe like already 100 times, because it's kind of like
he's thinking
That's
like
a reasonable question.
Yeah. So because the robotics in general, it's very new space. We are about so industrial like arms, then so the AGVs, so pretty like, so those are pretty mature. So that's the main question, the reason, like, so if there are robots exist. So we believe that's at the right time, and we see the signals, because like the industry starts shifting towards gaining, like looking for a more efficient way to build. So the construction is already like hitting the ceiling, so of finding the way, and so like there was like not much progress in the digital tools, so like moving the needle. So there should be something else. And so these advancements, so with the NVIDIA Omniverse, with all the foundation models, etc., that happens over the last year, just like proven, so there will be like, I believe that so this year will be like fundamentally changing, so the script, so, and there will be more robotics, so in all the industry. And so we just want to be the first in the construction. So we started getting these questions a lot when we thought about only the humanoid, so form factor will be the answer. But once we found, so there are like several hundreds of the construction robotic vendors globally in the US and Europe and like across Asia. So they're already there. So they silently deliver their work in the most difficult environment, most difficult industry. So our like goal currently to introduce that so to the majority of the market, so with whom we're familiar. So from the mighty buildings, we like know like all the largest GCs in the regions, and so we like helping them to take these robots and so elevate their business. So, and we believe it's the right time. So every month we see how like different models and different approaches are just like helping us to deliver faster. And I think so we like, if you ever served, so we just like start pushing by the wave. So we are not on the wave yet, so but it's getting bigger and bigger.
Anton, one thing to note, I found this on the press release of the fundraiser, was that you're targeting the UAE.
So that was like not the specific target for that, but so as a startup, we need to move fast. So when we start like exploring the whole network. So we spoke with the Singaporean GC, Japanese GC, Hong Kong, UAE, US, and it just happened that we got the faster reaction, as faster like path. So in the UAE, and we decided like, okay, so we don't really attached to any specific region per se. So, but the faster we can validate so that our pipeline and our technology works, the better. So we already, so in a commercial pilot with one of the largest GC in the region. So, and so that just like technically 6 months after the launch. So that's like what we were looking for. So, but our ultimate goal is to be the global company, and we are setting that so from the day one. So yesterday I had a very nice call with the largest GC, some like nice national GC in the US, and they're super excited to start testing our technology. But before so that conversation would had any meaning, So it wouldn't mean anything. So before this proof point that we already gain in UAE. So because we already deployed, so we already gained the traction. So and now I understand like how that works like physically and what kind of value it can deliver. So that opening up so the more of the like market share.
Okay. One last question from me. So yeah, I can't remember if I read this correctly, but your lead investor for the pre-seed round was Tim Draper, right?
Yeah. So
Investor in Baidu,
yeah.
Hotmail, Skype, Tesla, SpaceX, AngelList, SolarCity, Ring, Twitter, DocuSign, Coinbase, Robinhood. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, so we didn't have the price round. So it's like the teams put the largest check in round, and it was like you read in the books. So you have a first meeting, so with a partner. So then you have a second meeting with a full partnership, and then we just start moving towards the safe. It was the standard terms, so that we agreed. So that was a very kind of a classic startup paradise story, so how it should be structured. So like nobody in these stories sees the hard work that we put before. So with the mighty buildings, Slava note team and his team, so from the mighty buildings, and relate the close relationship and the warm connection, so that's also helped a lot. So but outside of that, so we spoke with the team like maybe at the beginning of our process, and at that process we conducted already maybe 50 pitch interviews or pitch sessions with other GCs. So it wasn't easy just to step in and close the round. So we done a tremendous amount of work towards to closing this round.
Very cool. All right, Anton, we got next person coming on in. So look, best of luck. Hope it all pans out for Builder. Looking forward to seeing it on a site near us and the robots that it may bring to help us build more.
Thank you, Tim. Very pleasure to meet you, and have a good show.
Good luck, man.
Best of luck, Anton.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Best of luck.
Okay, next up we have got, I won't say the name till you see the face. Mr. Kevin Hota. Hello? Can you hear us,
The man,
Kevin?
the myth, the legend. Can't hear us.
Too many incoming phone calls.
Too many
I don't know if he
calls,
can see us. It looks like he's like...
Okay, we can see. We can. Let me. What's happening? Can you hear us, Kevin?
I can hear you now.
Hey, there he is. How is
How are we
it
doing?
going?
Nice
Well,
to see you, gentlemen.
look. First off, there's a few congratulations for you. One we've already spoken about today, and two we haven't spoken about today, but I will leave to you to educate us all. Number one, you're an investor in DataGrid, and obviously the announcement of the news earlier. So, congrats. Anything to say on that?
Yeah, no, it's been a wild week. I'm excited for Thiago and Tom Felice and the early folks at DataGrid. It's an exciting time to be at Procore, right? You know, this is an opportunity for them to build the construction hub for agents and really drive a whole new business line of revenue. So I'm excited to see how they organize this business, structure it, and sell into their install base. But I'm excited for both Procore and the team at DataGrid. I think it's going to be 1 + 1 = 3.
Very cool. Second announcement is, you go for it. You know what I'm going to ask you about? Kevin Holter Advisories. Well, whatever. I don't know what you called it, but KevinHolter.com.
Oh, yeah. I think you asked me a lot of things. There's a busy news week. You know, Lennar bought the former CEO of PlanGrid. Tracy, a good friend of mine, Lennar, who did the acquisition, Shanna Tellerman, sold a former company to Autodesk and their second company to Lennar. So that's a pretty big moment. Lennar really investing more in construction tech. Procore making a big acquisition in DataGrid, but also organizing it differently, not just folding it in, right? Reminiscent of what Autodesk did with the construction cloud, creating that independent business unit to sell into their customer base and win new customers, but giving Thiago and his team more independence. Third, Autodesk just announced a significant layoff. If you haven't seen the news, right? So this is affecting their sales team. So definitely, my hearts go out to former team members if I can help them get to their next job. But yes, on the positive thing, I've started my own advisory consulting business, and Halter Advisory, catchy name, and it's to help other startups increase their odds of success and help them scale. Right. I've been fortunate to be a founder in this space, starting a company, Gettable, and also scaling a startups from anywhere from 5 to several hundred million in revenue. So I've seen the different stages of growth, but most importantly, Dustin's been around a long time, right? We've always been operators and builders and founders. I've also seen during that time the graveyard of startups in this space, right? And 0 to 10, 0 to 20 million, they never kind of break out to get to 100 million. They never break out to have a bigger impact in the industry. And most of that's due to making some of the wrong go-to-market decisions, right? When to invest, when not to invest, who to hire, who not to hire, how to organize, how to drive that go-to-market and distribution. You have a great panel here, right? Mike Powers is a great former sales leader, right? Dustin as a founder, but he has a knack for, sales and getting in front of customers. But most founders, go to market is new to them. It's a new skill set, a new expertise. And it's scary because most founders have made the wrong revenue leader hires, whether it's a director or VP of sales or marketing, and they've wasted time and money. And people focus on the money. I focus on the time. You need product market fit and founder market fit, but you also need the right time, which is usually outside of your control. My first startup was backed by Andreessen. That's what I really learned from them. Why now? For Mike Powers, like at his company, hey, the data center boom, right? The supply chain issues. That is a compelling event to invest. That's the why now, right? So your company in the space may have a why now moment, but how long is that window open for, right? So if you strike and scale, you can ride that wave. But if you don't effectively strike when you have that window open, that window passes. And maybe someone else, executes better, right? So if I can help more startups succeed in this space, it's better for the industry, right? Most of these technologies are great. They just haven't survived or they haven't reached that scale. And that's a problem with this industry and how they buy, right? They are slow to expand. It's a land and expand selling motion, a tool at DPR, right? It's a problem with the industry and how they sell. It's easy to get a project pilot. It's hard to get an enterprise deal, right? And projects churn. So if I can help more startups in this space that we all love succeed, then that would be high impact for me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Anyone want to follow up on that?
Good questions. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, if not,
I'll go.
if
I
not,
was gonna let Dustin go first. I know Dustin's thinking. I think would be valuable. I think it's like some of the horror stories and things that have gone wrong, and your advice that you've given me and you've given other founders of like again, there's not a one size fits all, but some of these horror stories are like lessons learned that are like replicable for all these other people. I would love to get your thoughts and opinions on like how PlanGrid did a very decentralized sales team, very localized in market, and how founders that sell on projects should probably do something similar. Where like Building Connected was selling more of the office, so we were very successful at having an inside sales team. I think that metric and how you think about that is like super powerful for the listeners.
Yeah, I think first of all, what I see just in doing, so I've had this advisory practice, less than a year, right? Basically 6 months, is how can you narrow down your ICP today, right? How can you map out that customer journey, right? Who's your end user, right? What is the value with them? What's in it for them, right? For that individual user on a project or a part of the construction team, what's the value and ROI for the team, whether it's the project team or your estimating group, and what's the enterprise value, right? A lot of times those values are different, right? Different for the individual versus the project versus the enterprise, right? And how are you documenting that ROI for those people, right? and those teams and those enterprises, and getting that right. There's always going to be blockers on the way around the way, but knowing who your buyer is and the person that get a deal done, right? At PlanGrid, it was site superintendents, right? They were our primary end user. They could get a deal done at the project. They could be a champion, but we needed to get to the VP of operations or the COO or someone overseeing a larger portfolio to become an enterprise standard, or at least a standard for that division, right? So, but there are blockers on the way. So you also got to map out those users. Like, what is the value proposition for every person that you're going to interact with? And I feel like people get that wrong. Like, make the problem smaller, right? And build that momentum. So at PlanGrid, right, making the problem smaller, like, we're going to sell, what's one thing that PlanGrid does that no one else can do and does it really well? What's that wow factor, right? Who's that one person on the job site we got to get in front of, right? What types of accounts look like that? Like, for us, it was people that self-perform. We did a lot of subcontractors, right? They're on the job site, right? We didn't do that well with general contractors that didn't self-perform or weren't as engaged with their supply chain, you know? So narrow down that ICP, and also we narrowed down the markets. We're going to focus on these markets because it's a regional ecosystem, right? So I think what we did really well at PlanGrid is we recognized that construction is a regional ecosystem, right? Most people do work on a project within a 2-hour radius. We got on projects, we went to offices, we got involved, and we built trusted relationships and built a brand, right? But we didn't go after every market at once, every city, every metro at once. So I think just breaking that problem down smaller and investing smaller, so you start getting a flywheel going, right? And I think we did a lot of things like Building Connected did, right? How can you leverage your product to drive, I call it PQLs, qualified leads, warm leads, right? Hand raisers, right? That it is a network-based business. How are you tapping into that, right? But overall, the number one thing I've seen is, how can you make the problem smaller? Because your team is only so big, you only have so much time, you have only so many users, and building that brand that way. Yeah.
Nice.
I want to ask you a question, and I have some
Yeah,
controversial ones, but I don't know if I want to.
You can ask me anything. It's Ask Me Anything hour.
He doesn't have to answer it. He doesn't have to answer it.
Who do you think has a better sales strategy, Autodesk or Procore?
Wow, man, you guys are asking. You know, Mike is like, hey, across all the great companies you've worked with, like Building Connected, PlanGrid, and Autodesk Construction, and others, you know, share the learnings. It's
well, the landscape is the landscape.
You're asking who has the better go to market.
Especially considering what just took place.
Yeah, so I have no allegiance now, right? I'm an independent right now. I am have a lot of stock in Autodesk.
We bring you on here to opine on the market dynamics.
Yeah. So I think Procore obviously built really built a construction specific platform, and they were the first one to build an ecosystem, but also nurture them. They nurtured their startups to build on their platform, promote them at their construction focus events, and they did a great job building a brand. I think some of their M&A missed, right? They failed to buy Building Connected, which would have supercharged the platform, right? I think they've made some misses on M&A, right? I also think some of their go-to-market which we took advantage of Autodesk to true up contractors midterm, right? To really increase the price at renewal without more users, more value delivered. That was a problem, right? And that left a hole for Autodesk Construction to build a customer experience just with better terms, building a better long-term partnership. The Data Grid acquisition, I think, could be a real game changer for Procore, because Procore customers love the simple and easy to use of Procore, right? They've been waiting for provide me more value, provide me more ROI, and layering these AI agents on top could provide immense value, especially a lot of these customers have been Procore customers for 10 plus years. So there's a lot of data. There's a lot of history, right? And no one can hire people fast enough or train people up enough to get ahead. So I think the Data Grid, if they organize it properly internally and don't run it over, if they organize that team properly structurally, they could drive a lot of expansion ARR. I shared the example earlier today. An SMB platform, Podium, 60,000 clients, 0 to 100 million in under 24 months. That's crazy. Those are SMBs, right? And they have a labor shortage SMBs have, but that's not high-skilled labor. So imagine what data could do to supercharge Procore, right? I'm always a big believer, the best ecosystem wins, right? So who's building the best, agents and leveraging the next generation of technology, which is AI? Autodesk obviously merged the construction team in with the whole, AECO, right? In my mind, they're back where they started, where it is a design company and you're trying to sell a construction. But when you're making so much money from design, construction is now a big part, right? We grew it to 10% of their global revenues, right? It is the fastest growing division within Autodesk. But still, it's less than 20% of the total business, right? You still are going to have challenge getting that mind share, right? And so it's going to be interesting, 7% layoffs, mostly hitting sales. I'm still getting reports like, where are those layoffs happening? I'm hearing some name brand construction people from the ACC.
I have
right?
too while we've been talking.
These are winners. These are winners that I'm going to be helping land at their next great company, and I'm just a big believer in the best talent wins. I think I am very proud, Dustin and Mike, and what we built at ACC together. We acquired, developed, and retained talent density. We did, and we built friendships and partnerships for life, right?
So I'm hearing you alluding to that you like the latter's most recent strategy plays versus the most recent moves.
I don't want to speak, but the early reports,
that question was so confusing, man.
I am happy to, hey, I'm independent. If Procore or DataGrid wants to hire me as an advisor, I'm happy to help. But I was an advisor and investor to DataGrid, and I think they are making him, they're building an independent business unit with direct lines to the top. So there's going to be a lot more decision-making power by Thiago and his team, and I am bullish on that. Bullish on the acquisition, bullish on how they're structuring it for maximum impact. Autodesk, I think they've built a huge business over the years, and they're growing faster than the core. Kudos to everyone that was there previously, there today, and who's hired in the future. They have incredible momentum because now they have references and referrals. They got an incredible, momentum, right? There was no brand when we joined. Now there's a brand, right? And references and so forth. Power Design moved, to ACC and rolled it out in 6 months. So you just heard that story. That's a huge specialty subcontractor win. So I don't know. I'm not at Autodesk. I don't know what they're doing next. I know they just made some sales layoffs. I know I'm hearing that, some good names are on that list, Dustin. I bet there are more good names, unfortunately, we're going to hear. Right now, construction is structured as an overlay business, right? It's part of AECO. And just like I said, what do I tell all this startups I advise? Focus matters, right? Narrow down the ICP, right? There needs to be one team selling to construction, right? Selling the entire portfolio. We did that, Dustin. I don't know if you were still there at the Americas mid-market, which was the ENR 1K minus the ENR 50. We built one construction team, which was a compilation of people from Building Connected, Pipe, Assemble, PlanGrid, BIM 360, and we are one face for the customer. And that provided a great client experience, right? That helped us win head-to-head deals and rip and replace the competition. It's all about the customer experience, right? And we had overlay salespeople that had maybe expertise in estimating, right? Had expertise in some specialized area or cost management, whether Autodesk acquired or built. But we had one face of the company for construction. I worry about AECO going back to the old days and losing that focus. What are your thoughts,
Kevin?
Chris?
Kevin, we have to
well,
cut you off in
yeah,
a sec
I
because we got to wrap the show up. So
It makes no sense to me. It never made sense to me. There was always a strategy. It just makes no sense. I mean, well, I know other reasons why it makes sense, but from like building the best business possible, I don't think it makes sense.
Probably a bigger conversation, but thanks for having me on Bricks and Bytes.
Yeah.
Thanks, I am working with startups from 1 to 100 million ARR. If you're interested in finding a way to work together and seeing how we could partner together, I'm happy to help. I do pick several companies at once that I help at a time and build a long-term relationship. And I do want to plug some of the companies that I am working with. Curry is in logistics.
We're gonna send an invoice to them.
What?
Send an invoice.
We're
Come
gonna
on,
send
I got to name them. They're doing amazing things. So, for the people that maybe are looking for their next step, Curry's hiring right now. It's a delivery logistics and platform and marketplace. They're doing incredible things. You have The Source, which is a procurement platform for the hospitality industry. You have Early Trade, which is a payments marketplace, building a payments marketplace for the subcontractor and supply chain. You have Hypar, which is just on the phone with doing stuff around generative design. So very, very exciting companies in different stages of growth, some of which are hiring. So excited with the companies I'm working with right now and some of the companies I'll be working with in the future. So check them out.
Cool. All right, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you
Best of
guys.
luck.
Hey, congrats to DataGrid on the acquisition.
Yeah. Cool, man. Take care, yeah. All right, guys. So there you have it. Eventful week. Well, I hope that we will see some more events happening next week. And Patrick, maybe we'll be one step closer to your $3 billion acquisition this year.
I mean, not necessarily mine, but equipment share
yours.
could be first.
Yeah.
Oh, one plug is Edify and DataGrid are hosting a hackathon tomorrow in San Francisco.
Okay, yeah. By the time this is released officially, it will be today. So people listen to this, maybe they can quickly buy a last-minute ticket. Last second.
Ticket.
Retrospective ticket. Okay, cool. All right, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Patrick and Dustin, and we'll see you all next week, yeah?
All right.
Thanks for having me.